My name is Daryl Teskey. I'm the Executive Director of Columbia County CASA, which stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. It was started in 1977 by a judge in Seattle, Washington. What he saw really was there was a gap, and he envisioned volunteers filling in a gap for advocating for the children. In a court case, it's very complicated. There's a lot of things and a lot of moving parts, and what he was really seeing was there wasn't someone who was necessarily the direct voice for the child, who listened to the child's wants or needs, desires, and relayed those back to the court. And so as a judge, he felt he wasn't getting that information, and so he developed the CASA program, which has grown to just over 1,000 state and local programs nationwide. Here in Wisconsin, we have 8 local programs serving 12 counties.
There's very little consistency in these children's lives. A lot of them are broken homes, or the parents just don't have resources in that too, so we're kind of a constant. They can always depend on seeing their CASA.
I think that's one of the most important things, because the court is focusing on usually the parents who have done something to cause the child to be put in care. And so there's a social worker for the parents, a parole officer, whatever. And most of the resources are focused on the parents, on rehab or parenting or anger management or whatever. And I always say there in the corner sits these children who are just lost and don't know what to do, and they're often in foster care, which is so traumatic to be suddenly in the middle of the night taken to a foster family, and all your friends, your school, your stuff is gone, and now you have to start over again. So we try to help be there for them.
The design of CASA is to work alongside the courts. We're often called eyes and ears of the court. And so what we do is we are appointed by judges to serve children. We recruit and train volunteers who go through 24 hours in class, and then there's reading and videos and things to watch afterwards. And after that training, they are assigned to a child, and they meet with that child. They agree to meet with that child once a week. They meet with anyone else important in the child's life, so that could be guidance counselors, the social worker, foster parents, biological parents, and they really get the ability to paint a picture and provide an idea, look into the child's life. And with all that information, they go back to the judge, and they provide monthly reports to the judge with their fact-based observations and recommendations that may come from that.
I take games, so I usually go with a bag of games, and then we play something. And it's not an interview, I never have a pencil and paper, and we just play a game or walk down to the park or something. And during the time of playing, the kids start talking about, how are you doing? And they tell you, well, I really need a bike. Everybody else in my grade's got a bike and I don't have a bike, or I wish I had, whatever. I mean, they're kids, and sometimes you're able to help them get what they need and make their life a little bit better. But yeah, it's not an interview. It's a playtime, really. Is that what you guys did too?
It is a playtime, and I think also you get to know the kids, so you know what their interests are. One little girl I had just loved books, so I always took books, and we had a good time reading.
I had one that loved puzzles, and I would meet in their home, or many times I met them at school. I was able to, the schools work very well with the CASAs, and I would get them out of class, and spend a little time with them too.
You should care about CASA because the reality is that the kids are living in a very tumultuous time, and as we were talking about, there's the judge, there's the guardian ad litem, there's the social worker, there may be a public defender assigned on the case. All of them are interacting with the child, but they're not always necessarily getting to know the child and to ask the question, what do you want? What a CASA does is, because they're meeting every week, they really get to know the child on a very personal level, and it allows them to make those recommendations and to really listen. Half of someone's self-worth actually exists just because they feel listened to and they feel like they have a voice in a process. And that's not to say that those folks are doing anything wrong, but this is another layer of protection and the ability to work with to work alongside all of those folks to really benefit the child.
Well, if they love children, they will love being a CASA, and anybody who just cares about children. We attract a lot of retired teachers because of that too, but you don't have to be a teacher to be a CASA. And the book work in that isn't that difficult. You know, Daryl is fantastic, and he works with the volunteers. He does a terrific job too. But you make such a difference. You know, it is a commitment. But that's the part that makes you feel so good about it too, because you can see the change you're making with these children, and you grow to love them and to really care about them. So I'd say anybody that has a passion for children, this is the job for you. You'll love it.
And I want to say that I think kids who have a CASA volunteer have so much more chance of being successful in life because they had an adult that stepped in and told them they were important. And you know, if you take a kid that comes from a background of drug and abuse and whatever, and they end up becoming a productive member of society instead of, you know, in the court system and in the jail system, that's huge. You've saved millions of dollars, even if you don't want to think about it as a person. Just the economic saving of turning a kid in a new direction is huge. And we do that. We do that on a daily basis. They find a new way to live.
Statistics actually bear this out. Kids that have had a CASA worker spend less time in foster homes. They graduate from high school. They do a lot better in their lives. I guess fundamentally, I think sometimes we have a notion in this country that everybody just kind of rises up on their own. And I don't believe that. I believe that some of us have been very lucky. We've had supportive families. We've had good health. And here come some kids that have not had the good opportunities, and I think this is not a way to help them.
I am for the child who has been abused, the child who is afraid to go home,
who thinks it's her fault, who is forced to keep a secret or else.
I am for the child who has been neglected,
the child who does not know where his next meal is coming from,
who must fend for herself and her little sister.
Alone.
The child who has never been told
that he is loved,
that she is smart, beautiful,
talented,
worthy, that she is strong,
courageous,
that she is somebody. I am for her.
the child who one day will turn 18 and will be surrendered to the world.
I am for that child.
So I am there for that child.
To listen to her.
To speak for her.
To champion without compromise for what's in his best interest.
Because if I am
there for her, I know she will be half as likely to languish in foster care, and that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home.
She is the child I am for.
He is the child I am for.
They are the children I am for. She is the child I am for.
The child I am for is him.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I'm a CASA volunteer.
I am you.